Mike Gill, State of Corruption. Again, what I'm going to give you today is quite literally the strategy in moving forwards. But I want to first say, let's keep politics out of this. Race, religion, all out of this. We have got to come together to fight corruption. We're at a very critical point. I don't have to tell you that they've stopped me from boosting. I have an arrest warrant for me from Judge Anderson. And listen, I'll tell you why in a minute. But that's the desperateness in Holland. They have to stop me. The first thing they've got to do is cut the lifeline, the supply line, to this movement of State of Corruption, which is going all over the country. Over 4 million views before they turned around and stopped us from boosting. And that's why. So I'm going to ask you to do is share this. Tell your friends. The more light we put on this, I can tell you the impact will be dramatic and felt across the country. Now I'm going to step you through this strategy. I'm going to tell you how we box them in and how we can win this. So many of you wonder, how are we going to win? Well, it's not just about marching. It's not just about getting on Facebook and telling your story. It's to have a strategy, like a business plan. I built the biggest mortgage company in the United States with a strategy. I became the world champion of racing with a strategy. We can end this corruption and start a rippling effect over this country with a strategy. All right, so let's start. I'm going to start with the 91A. What a 91A is, it's the Freedom of Information Act. And what that is that they are forced to give you the information, for instance, from the New Hampshire Banking Department. They've got to give you all that information. So let's work on that strategy, okay? So, firstly, the Banking Department. You're going to see a brief video, 3 minutes, of me having a hearing at the Banking Department. Now what that hearing was an orchestration to try to change the classifications of notes that would have legitimized the DRA complaint, the Department of Revenue Administration. I remind you, the Department of Revenue is the one who took the money out of the account on a forged tax return. Judge Anderson, the same judge who put a warrant on me. And why they want a warrant is they've closed our accounts. They're wondering how we're staying in business. Right. They've got to stop us, and this is how desperate they are. Okay? What you're going to see in this video with the Banking Department is them trying to have a hearing with completely redacted paperwork. They're literally reading from a black piece of paper. It was completely redacted. That redaction is evidence that they were trying to use Brian Toomey and ISA to convert the classifications of the notes to allow them to leverage me. So I couldn't tell you the truth. Okay? Now I'm going to have you watch that now. Well, how can you explain a redaction that we can't see? I mean, there's a lot of redactions through this whole thing now, isn't there? Now, why is there so many redactions? Can I ask a hearing on that? Yeah. Why do we have all these redactions?
We will find out.
Well, it's a cover-up is what it is. And where they came at, that's why it's redaction. Hey, listen, if it's all sealed, why redact, right?
Well,
Proceed with your questioning, please.
where did this document come from?
Well, wait a minute, object again. Is this the document?
Is
It's
that
not a
Exhibit 4?
document. Is it?
It is a document.
This is a document.
Yes, it is.
Completely redacted. This is a document that we're going to refer to as evidence, right? Then if we are, then I don't think anything should be redacted.
It's a document that the department is seeking to place in
Oh, I
evidence.
can't use it as evidence in this hearing, and they're even referring to it. A black page.
It's up to them to demonstrate and explain
Well, isn't it
for
up-
me what it is.
Well,
So
how
please
can you
proceed.
explain what it is if it's redacted?
Please
How about
proceed.
we start by saying this?
Mr. Gill,
Why is it redacted?
please proceed. Attorney
We're
Wyatt,
testifying on evidence that's on a black page.
the attorney just stated that she would
What, tell us what it says?
have the witness testify.
Well, I
as to
don't
that.
trust it.
Well, I want to hear it as well as you do, so why don't
Well,
we
I don't want
continue?
to hear it. I want to see it as they're prescribing it as evidence today.
All right.
We're putting
Duly
in
noted. Thank
evidence
you.
that is a black piece of paper that's completely redacted. And can we have, how about this? Does this seem fair to you?
I would like her to proceed with the question.
Could we have
And then
this
when you have-
unredacted so
when you
she
have-
can read it and I can read it at the same time? Does that seem fair?
At this moment, I would like the department to continue its questioning.
Wait a minute.
Thank you.
Do we
No,
have
thank you.
this
Please
page
continue.
non-redacted?
Please continue.
We're asking
The
for...
department,
Thank you.
the department has, I can offer the reason this is redacted is to enable this to be a public document. The portions that pertain to the issues in the order to show cause are not redacted, as you will see when Ms. Cloutier continues her testimony.
Can we read that page then? Can
The
we see
department-
that evidence?
If this
The
needs to come
department is
in-
explaining that they are covering up and they're giving evidence on redacted paper.
Ms.
This says
Cloutier,
nothing.
Thank
Then
you.
how about, I
Thank
mean,
you. I
Ms.
think you
Cloutier,
made your
can you-
point.
No,
I understand
no.
your point. I'm going to ask the department to proceed. I would also ask you to be respectful to me and to the tribunal. At this point in time, I would like to hear the department move along. You will be offered the opportunity to ask questions.
well, you do aware I am filing a complaint with the Department of Justice. I mean, this is we're testifying on black paper.
Please proceed. You'd be able to present Exhibit A before me today in your case.
I'm saying
and-
I understand what you're saying, but this is for the public and the protection of the public, and they're supposed to represent the public, so it's going to the public. And it is a sealing order on this, the sealing order on this, so I don't turn around and show everybody what they're doing.
The
So I object strenuously to the sealing order. No witnesses, conflicts, and a sealing order. Listen, I've been here before. This is a setup from the beginning. I mean, this is obvious.
well,
Okay. Now you're going to be part of this strategy. You just saw a lady from the banking department reading from a blank piece of paper. It was completely black, which is why I showed it to the camera. I mean, what is this, a magic act? Why it's redacted and then have a hearing, it would put them in jail. Right. Richard Head was the sponsor of that complaint, as Elizabeth Leahy, both from the AG's office, right? The cover team. They tried to change the classifications, the note, to put leverage from the DRA. Remember, the 91A, the truth of lending. Now, I told them back at November 16th, they were supposed to give me the information then of last year, November 16th. They didn't. I sent them another one. See, that's part of our strategy. They got 3 bogus consent orders, and the reason why that hearing, all that paper was redacted, because it is criminal, with Toomey. And they tried to change the classifications of the notes. That was Head, you see? That was when you're going to see with Little Corrupt, that was a $130,000 fine. See? So now I'm asking them and telling them, here's another 91A. Do you know what they said to me? A Susan Chamberlain wrote to me saying, hey, we sent you that information on 91A back in November. They're lying. More proof? Let's stick to the strategy. We got a Little Corrupt back in the middle of December saying they didn't touch it. I'm going to show you that snippet. So we know they're lying. All right? And the reason why, they'll go to jail. Now think about the importance of this. I told you this banking department is laundering drugs for the drug dealers. Right. That's why Jerry Little doesn't have to audit anymore. Because he wouldn't have taken the job unless he didn't have to audit. Fortunately for all of us, particularly Jerry, he's the one who wrote the bill before he became the banking department. I mean, how obvious do we have to get? So in other words, I am drilling inside the banking department for a federal audit that will catch the drug dealers. See? We're playing a bigger game. And that's why they're hanging on like grim death. Now, I'm going to show you the snippet of Little, where he says he doesn't look into the folder. He's finding me without looking. I want to remind you, right after that hearing, follow the head, the Banking Commissioner Perlow resigns. Richard Heads resigns and out in California. And then shortly after that, we caught Toomey. They're the whole perpetrators of that crime. Now, watch the little snippet of Little Corrupt. My files to the AG's office like you're supposed to? Have you done that? My files. The files that belong to me that would have pertained with that check. Have you sent that to the AG's office like you were supposed to? What? It's my file, right? And you're the banking commissioner. And you get a 91A to deliver that file. Have you done that?
I can step in. I'm legal counsel.
Well, wait a minute. I'm asking Mr. Little here. He knew about it.
handle-
Did you know about that, Mr. Little?
Yes, I knew about it.
You knew about it. Did you send it?
I'm not sure what the status is.
You're not sure.
No, I'm not.
Did you look through
You want
it?
honesty, right?
Well, you couldn't sneak up on honesty. How about this? Did you look at the file?
No.
You didn't even look at my file, and you're the banking commissioner, and I'm making all these accusations that it was false. Did you know all the paperwork was redacted so we couldn't read it? They were changing the classifications of my notes on the DRA, right? Did you know they hit me this week too? From the same thing, Judge Anderson and Richard Head. But I'm telling you, officially, that file is all redacted. They were changing the classifications of my notes to legitimize the forged tax return. Did you know that?
No.
Now you see, he recognized that they received the 91A. They're trying to tell us it didn't come through in the mail. Believe me, everything else comes through the mail with these bastards, including my most recent response. All right? So they admit that it's a lie if you look at the dates of when he's saying and the time that they said they responded. This Chamberlain, Susan Chamberlain, all right? If they give us the information, they go to jail. Now, this is why they're using Anderson. Anderson was the judge on the DRA complaint. No witnesses, just a forged tax return. You lose. You see, we used Anderson in the courts. We used Head in the AG's office. And the plan is to stay out of the banking department because the banking department is the laundering of the drug money. That is what they're using. They use the credit unions. Don't have to audit. Primary bank is owned by the drug dealers. You don't have to audit. These guys spent billions, not on skyscrapers, on protections and partners. The same umbrella with Shaheen, who just happens to be the lobbyist for the opioid industry and the insurance. It's the same umbrella of corruption. Delker, Anderson, Francois out of the Brentwood. It's coordinated and organized. Or what I'd like to call is a RICO offense. Exactly. Now, you're going to see me calling Susan Chamberlain and saying, hey, I want the whole file, not bits and pieces, because it'd be easier for them. No, the whole, nothing redacted. Now, this is where you come in. I want you to turn around and go to the banking department and witness this and saying, where is this information? I am telling you, you'll get the heroin dealers in this state. Now, I want you to look. We're going to put a post up. Just yesterday, I don't know if you read the article, but it turns out the Hope Treatment Centers, remember I told you they were owned by the corrupt? That there was insurance fraud and drugs and Cruz and Aganos? Well, guess what? They had a bunch of employees quit. They're feeling like they're being harassed. Not only that, they're admitting that people are selling drugs in the treatment center. They're admitting to insurance fraud. I think one piece was a woman over 2 weeks billed an insurance company $500. Now, didn't I tell you that? I've told you that for 2 years now. Now, those are the employees. And listen, thank you to those employees to have the courage to come forwards. Now, there's other employees in this state from the banking department, the DRA. Honest people have to come forwards. I met with a police officer. He told me I was 100% right. He's a lieutenant. And you know what he said to me? If it wasn't for Facebook, I'd be dead. Many times over. Which is also why they're trying to cut boosting and trying to have you not talk to me. Because it is the light that could win us this war. Now, I want you to listen to my call to Susan Chamberlain. So you now know that I am asking for them for a complete file. And if they do, we have a new tomorrow. We get the drug dealers. We get the corruption in the DRA. We get Anderson and the corruption in the courts, which is run rampant. You see what I'm saying? Drugs, the court corruption. Let's not forget, Francois, the divorce court, only put me in jail to be murdered. We get Anderson, we cut a deal, and we change the court system. We get Richard Head, cut a deal, and we take the most corrupt AG's office in the country, who's covering all these crimes, and we cut them a deal. We get a new banking department that turns around and audits, and guess what? We put the drug dealers in jail. You see how important this is? All from a 91A. Now, I also wrote a county attorney, Horgan, and told him they didn't reply to my 91A. I gave them another one. I want the complete file. And if you don't get that to me, I'll put you in jail too. All right, now you're going to hear me speaking on a voice message to this Susan Chamberlain. But again, it's evidence. It's evidence that turns around that they are aware of that 91A, and you know I want a complete file. And I want you to understand what this gets us. Now, this is true strategy. Speaking of more strategy, I'm going to send the 91A, again, the Truth and Information Act, to the FBI. That's right, Hassenbecker. And then I'm going to send another one to the U.S. Attorney, Farley. Now, I'm going to ask them in the 91A, if they're investigating, they don't give you the information. But I'm going to ask for a case number on both. Now, if they do give us all the information back, I mean Brian Toomey's computer, the mail fraud, the unopened envelopes from the IRS, if they do give us it back, it means they didn't investigate and they are covering up. Either way, we win. See? Now that's strategy. Okay, I want you to listen to this. Susan, this is Mike Gill. I've just got your letter regarding my request for the 91A. It says in the first paragraph that you're suggesting that it's not an undefined request. All right, it's very defined. I want my complete file of the mortgage specialist. Every year, every document, from the beginning to today, I want it all. Unredacted and complete. Regarding the November 7th, dated, and then you said it was sent out on the 16th November of my previous 91A. I noticed you didn't close the envelope that says it was returned. It seems that this didn't get returned, so I doubt that that actually happened, and again was breaking the law. All right? So I want it completely unredacted. I want it in full by the order of the 91A. This is a federal investigation, and it's already been over a year, almost a year, before we've been given our information. Okay? In full, complete, by the law. Thank you. Okay. Now I need your help. I want you to share. Let's keep the lights on. I want you to also know I'm having every case copied, and it's going right to President Trump's people, right? Did you know in Brentwood, they're turning around and saying, well, we have redacted files and we have protected files. What, on my case? Are you kidding me? See, this is strategy. So please, no politics, no religion, no race, right? Can we be united on corruption? I am telling you, corruption doesn't know these three. The moles that we get will talk politics. We'll pick on people, race and religion. I don't want to hear about Muslims. I want to hear about domestic terrorism. I want us to focus on this. They want us to be divided in these issues. Okay, I've got another video coming out, sure. We're going to be moving together. This strategy has to involve you. And listen, and if you don't hear from me, I'm either dead or in jail, because quitting isn't an option for me, ever. Mike Gill.